Going. I'm recording as well. So welcome to the Power of Positivity webinar. We're glad you guys are here. So some of you are on the grid here, and some of you will be watching within the group, maybe after the fact, or maybe you're gonna hop on halfway once kid goes to bed. Totally fine. So I am Molly Asplin. My name here says Sarah Gobb. That's not correct. I'm Molly Asplin. We've got Shelby, Elena, and Sarah joining as well. And the reason for this webinar and the reason we wanted to do this is because there can be a lot of negativity out there, right? And it can feel sometimes maybe like you're trudging through the mud. But we've noticed that when you surround yourself with people who lift you higher and people who have positive mindset, positive thoughts about the future and dreaming big, which we're going to talk about, life seems to be a lot better. So we want to kind of walk you through our stories. We all connected through coaching. We were strangers before that, so we didn't know each other just beyond really a year ago. And so we're excited to share our stories and kind of go from there. You guys have anything to add before we dive in?
I'm excited.
All right. So we will get this kicked off. We're going to start by just sharing a little bit about our backgrounds and kind of where we were before this. And Elena is going to go first. So Elena, I'll hand it to you and put myself on mute.
Absolutely. And of course, you guys, if you have any questions while we're going through this, if you're on the call live, go ahead and just drop them in the chat box. Otherwise, if you're watching it on Facebook right now, just put it in the comments and we'll be checking those kind of towards the end as we go. Anyways, like Molly said, my name is Elena. So I kind of have an interesting background in kind of how I got to this, but I really graduated college and I kind of didn't know what was next. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I thought I had it figured out, and it was kind of a lot of failing forward. And through this time period, I didn't have a lot of positive support and community surrounding me. I was actually struggling with mental illness, and for me personally, my mental illness was really onset by a lot of this, the daily stressors and stuff. Just it seemed to snowball, and it really seemed to make it worse. And I just kind of went through the motions through the day-to-day, not really knowing what I wanted to do, not loving my job, just kind of there for a paycheck because I felt like I had to be there. I felt like I had to have a corporate job and kind of check off the big girl adulting boxes, but I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't very happy, and because of that, my relationships in my life suffered, whether it was with my family, my friends, my boyfriend. I mean, there was a lot of struggle going on with that. And even growing up, I never really was a girl's girl. So I never joined a sorority. Like, I never had a lot of girlfriends and stuff. And I didn't really think that I could find this positivity from like a group. I thought that I had to really work on it myself and kind of figure all this stuff out myself. And so through this unhappiness and stuff, I kind of started working on myself. I was like, well, that like quote, I got to fall in love with myself and stuff. And I have to like go through all that. And so after being kind of unhappy with how I looked and stuff, and that just contributing to the daily anxieties and stuff, I started working on myself. And really with that was just health and fitness. So I kind of got started in that and was figuring out what I was doing. And I wasn't really sure, but from doing that and from seeing myself kind of progress through that, I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed like finding myself, seeing the results and just seeing like the positivity that it added to my day. And I was like, I know that other people can do this too. And I want to be able to share that positivity with others. And when I had initially started coaching, I decided that I wanted to help other women. I wanted to empower them to experience the same joy and happiness and be confident in their bodies. But I never knew that by becoming a coach, like I would get a community that continued to empower and uplift and just support me to be my best every single day. So it's really been a journey of kind of roller coaster, all of those feelings that any 20 something or maybe even 30, 40 something feels when you're just really unsure about what you want to do. And I really just kind of stumbled and failed forward to figure it out. And by one of those, what the heck, what do I have to lose moments, I ended up here. So can't say that I regret it one bit, but that's kind of a little background about me and how I got here. But I will go ahead and pass it on so we can kind of hear from everybody.
That's awesome. And I can relate to Elena in a lot of ways. I was at a place where I was happy, right? And I was content and going through life, and my husband and I were married and we had a house, and, you know, I was kind of checking all those boxes. I had a good job, but I felt just kind of blah. Like I would drive to work in the morning and think, is this really it? And, you know, I'd do my job and I would do it well. And then I would drive home at night and be like, what did I really do today? Like, what did I really accomplish? And I never really had that fulfillment, if you guys know what I mean. And so I started working on myself, similar to Elena, and I started in challenge groups and just working on myself. And what I found was surrounding myself with other people who were working on themselves helped me to think bigger. And, you know, in coaching, we talk a lot about personal development. So listening to podcasts or audiobooks. And I started doing that every day on my commute. And it just helped my mind expand and think bigger. And I just started to go throughout my days with a lot more energy and happiness. And I walked into work with more pep in my step. And it was really the positive community of coaching and these other ladies that I was surrounding myself with. I was someone who obviously, you know, I had a good friend circle, like I'm sure all of you do, but I didn't necessarily have friends who put a value on health and fitness. You know, it was more like, let's go to happy hour, you know, let's have a bunch of margaritas and feel crappy the next day. And, you know, or sometimes we'd go to dinner and I'd say I'd order a salad and someone would make like a snide comment about that. Maybe you guys have been there. And I just wanted like people who were like, no judgment, like you do you, I'm going to do me. Like if you want to better yourself, you do it, girl. And that's really what coaching has done for me. And it's just made me a much happier person and a happier wife and a more productive employee for sure. So I think Shelby is going to go next. You're on mute, Shelbs.
Helpful. Can you guys hear me now? Great. So those of you who don't know me, I'm Shelby. I am currently a clinical dietitian. And I want to share a little bit about my story as far as like beyond the health and fitness. For me, probably 14 months ago, I was really lost. I had just gotten accepted into graduate school, a program that I was like excited about the knowledge I was going to gain, but just felt like I was checking my next box in life. And I know Elena mentioned that too, is just kind of checking those boxes. And I think Molly can relate to that a lot as well. But I knew I didn't feel excited or passionate about it. I honestly wasn't really sure where my next step was going to go. I loved the clinical work I did, but I felt like I left work feeling miserable. And then I felt guilty about feeling miserable, leaving work, a career that I liked what I did, but I didn't feel passionate about. And so I was in this hole of negativity, and on the weekends, because I felt miserable and I was pushing myself through the workday, I would go out and party Friday night and Saturday night. I'd wake up on Sunday, I'd watch Netflix all day, I'd feel like garbage, I'd binge eat ice cream, and then I'd do it all over again. And I felt like I was trapped in this cycle, like I didn't know how to get out of it. I was frustrated with myself for not respecting my body and knowing that as a dietitian, I was doing the things that I didn't want to be doing to my body. I knew how much it was harming my body, but I didn't have a friend group that wanted to do anything beyond going out on Friday and Saturday nights. I didn't have that community of women who wanted to work on themselves, be the best version of themselves. And so when I joined my first health and fitness group, I was kind of shocked. I was like, oh, there's people out there that don't go out on Friday and Saturday nights. Wait, what? I was like, there's a whole different lifestyle out there. And so I started staying in on Friday nights, and I started reading books, and I started listening to podcasts. And it was so inspired by these women who wanted to do more in the world and who wanted to change other people's lives beyond their own and wanted to do more than that party scene. And just, I mean, honestly, I felt selfish. It felt selfish going out every Friday and Saturday night, because what was I doing for the world? And that's my story, and that is how I felt in that situation. But I think a lot of people can relate to that, not wanting to live their life at going out every Friday and Saturday night. And so by surrounding myself with other women who wanted to work on themselves, I really found my path of, working to become the best version of myself. And I'll pass it off to Sarah. That's all I have.
Love that, Shelby. Awesome. Alrighty, well, I'll start with a little bit about me and kind of my background. For those of you who don't...
Marie, phone 7.
What's that? Oh, okay. Anyways, I'm Sarah. Hi, everybody. I live in Rochester, Minnesota, and right now I work full-time at Mayo in surgery, and I ended up in Rochester right after college. I moved down here to go to grad school, and then straight out of grad school, I got hired at St. Mary's Hospital, and I work in cardiac surgery, and it's an intense job. It's really demanding hours. And, when I initially moved down here, I moved down here by myself, and I knew nobody. So that was in 2013. I was engaged to be married at that time. And, after graduating college, I moved away from all my friends, and I started going to grad school and really focusing on the next step, getting a job. And I kind of stopped focusing on myself, and I kind of lost myself amidst, kind of like Shelby and Molly and Elena said, checking off the boxes and, always focusing on the next step. And I stopped working on myself. So shortly after I got hired, I got married, and my husband moved down here, and it was just literally the two of us until I started working, and I started making a few friends at work. But I don't know if any of you have a group of work people that you hang out with, but in my case, it was the group of people that whenever we got together, all we did was talk about work. And that's kind of exhausting, because when I'm not at work, I don't want to be talking about work. So, like everything in life, you don't realize what's happening, and it builds up over time. And then all of a sudden one day I just kind of woke up, and I was like, why do I feel so icky? I love my husband, but I just feel kind of negative outside of my job. And I just feel like what I'm doing right now isn't really aligning with who I am. So, I started looking into working on myself, because I hadn't done that in years. And kind of like Elena said, I started with my health and fitness, and I got into, these accountability groups, and I saw this tremendous community of people who were encouraging each other, and we'd talk about silly things, and it just made me happy again, because I was kind of okay, here's a group of people that we can talk about fun stuff and do all these things that are so good for us together. And eventually I got into coaching, and I saw these people who I related to so much, and it was in such a positive way that it was kind of addicting. I was these are my girls. They're just people that I want to be And when you surround yourself with people like that, it does nothing but good things for you. So, I've been doing this for about a year, and some of my closest friends are the girls I coach with, and I just love that. So, that's a little bit about my story and how I got to where I am today.
I love it.
Yeah.
I did want to pause really quickly and just share that we have the we have the tank top at the end, ladies, and we will give that to anyone, to someone who is engaging. All right. So you can use the chat box here on Zoom, or if you're watching in the Facebook group, you can just comment right below it. But definitely ask questions as we go. We've got like maybe a half hour's worth of content prepared, so it's not like you'll have to sit around all night with us. And then we have the Starbucks gift card that we'll announce as well for anyone who commented on the post in the group. So Shelby, do you want to talk about finding a community or a mentor?
You're muted again, girl.
Every time. Technology, it gets the best of me. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about when you're going through something and coping. So when, in the past, when I've gone through hard times, like I went through breakups in the past and I never had really a good way of coping. Or when I had a rough time where I was trying to make a big decision, I would kind of just freak out and avoid it. And so when I joined the coaching community, I share this because it happened about 4 months before I went through the worst breakup of my life. And I don't think a lot of coaches know this actually on the team. Maybe 1 or 2 I shared it with, but having those positive people around and having them those people who were really investing in working through issues on their own, who were taking the time to build themselves and deal through tough situations, who had set an example of how to stay emotionally grounded when you're going through a tough time, helped me find a way to cope better than going out. And like I said, I was a party girl before this, like going out and partying and saying, I'm just going to flirt with cute boys and it'll be fine, whatever it was. And then after, I found this better way to cope, I had big decisions come up. And normally, like I said, I would just kind of avoid making decisions and let life kind of happen to me, essentially. And I mentioned that I was enrolled and I got accepted into grad school. And so I had this, as I became closer with myself and started to listen to what my heart and my soul was really telling me, I had this realization that grad school was just a checklist item for me. And having this community of women who had visions and who had dreams and who had worked to find what they really wanted to do in life helped me make that decision to step back from grad school when I knew it wasn't my truth. I knew it wasn't what my soul wanted. And so I just want to say, like, whether you have like a mentor in your life or you have a community of women who you look up to, like, talk to those people when you're going through tough times and use those resources and reach out to people who you know who are dealing with things well emotionally, whether it be a friend, a family member, if you have a coach in here, those are all great ways to really help you move through those issues.
Yeah, for sure. That's really good, Shelby. And what she's sharing about is more like the mindset piece of having a community and a mentor, and a positive one, right? Not just someone who's like kind of, oh yeah, well, that's just life, like go with the flow, just check the box, but people who maybe challenge you a little bit. And what I wanted to share about is more of the physical side too. I'm someone who believes that everything starts with our health. Like if you're eating crappy and you're not taking care of yourself, it's going to snowball into all other areas of your life. Relationships with your husband or your boyfriend, your confidence, how you perform at work, just how you feel every day when you put your clothes on. And so what this does for so many people, and what it really did for me, is it just helped me feel confident in the skin I was in. And it helped me to actually stay consistent with something, right? Not just like, oh, it's January 1st, I'm going to sign up at this gym and I'm going to, do it for 3 months and then probably trickle off and just go back into my old habits. This was the one thing that made me accountable. And I know I had this reservation, and so many people have the reservation on, I'm not where I want to be myself yet. So like, how could I bring others along with me or be a leader in that space? But it's actually counterintuitive because it's going to make you more accountable. It adds that extra layer of, I got to show up because people are counting on me, instead of just, oh, I'm kind of in this by myself and like if I don't show up today, my coach, I mean, she'll notice, but if you're in the coach role and you're in the leader role, you're like, no, I got to do this. And I got to do it day after day after day. And I see coaches get in the best shape of their lives way more than they would have been had they just continued as a customer, if that makes sense. So I think a lot of people join for accountability, and I don't think there's anything selfish about that, because you're gonna bring others along with you, and it's truly gonna be a win-win.
Yes, I totally agree with Molly. And that's something that, I mean, a lot of us work kind of in that common theme where we wanted to invest in ourselves. We wanted to work on ourselves. And I mean, that can mean a lot of different things. I look at it a couple different ways. Like, I look at it physically by exercising, eating those right foods and stuff, but I also look at it mentally. And prior to kind of getting into a routine, which this helped a lot with, because I knew what I was doing before. Like, I knew I had to work out, I knew I had to eat right and stuff, and like get sleep, but it's a lot easier like said than done. And I wasn't always true to that. So kind of to follow that accountability piece with Molly, since becoming a coach, rarely miss workouts. I mean, I'm all about balance and stuff. This is LaCroix, by the way. It's not wine. I'm not tipsy and talking to you guys, but it really helped me kind of get into that routine, and I noticed a world of difference. So prior to kind of finding my like health and fitness routine, finding something that I really was able to stick with, because I've done a lot before. I've done a lot of the start and stop and like dabbling in different things. But this was the first thing that I was able to stick with and really see and feel a difference. And I've never had a lot of weight to lose. And so for me, a lot of the cues to notice that I've had changes in my body have had to be non-scale. And probably the most important one, besides just feeling comfortable and confident in my own skin, has been my energy. And so I know you're like, oh, like I have to commit to working out every single day. Like, I don't have time for that, or whatever you may be thinking. I thought that too, but it's amazing what taking just 20 or 30 minutes out of your day does. Like, I used to have a long commute to work. And so I would get Starbucks in the morning and a breakfast sandwich. I'd spend like $7 in the morning. And then when I was driving home, I would get another Starbucks for the own safety of myself and those on the road, that I wouldn't fall asleep at the wheel, because I was so unhealthy and I was so mentally exhausted all of the time. Like, that falling asleep at the wheel was a serious fear of mine, which I shouldn't really be saying, but it was, because I was always tired. No matter what I did, I had no energy. I wasn't showing up at work. I wasn't showing up in relationships and with friends and stuff. I didn't want to do anything because I just felt tired and blah all the time. And so when I started implementing healthier habits into my life, I noticed a change in all areas. So sure, I took 30 minutes out of my day to work out, but instead I had energy at work. I was more productive. I was more efficient. I had energy and like wanted to go out and do things with friends or connect with people, because I didn't feel like I had to be crawling in bed or like I was going to be falling asleep while I did that. And it's actually crazy, because I'm reading a book right now, personal development, working on myself, and like it's called High Performance Habits, but he's talking about all of these studies that have been done and how all of the highest executives in these companies, I mean, if you pull all of these people, it's very common that the highest paid executives or the highest people in the companies are actually people who work out a lot more often than people who may be in entry-level positions or may not be moving up the corporate ladder as quickly. All of these people who are a lot more efficient in their everyday, it's because they're taking care of themselves too. And it's so important to be taking care of both your mind and your body. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm someone who struggled with mental illness and still do. And if anyone else can relate to that, you know, like medication kind of takes that edge off. Like medication gets you, so you're just kind of on that flat line. You're not all the up and down, but something is still missing. And it wasn't until I started surrounding myself with the positive people and started taking care of my mind and realizing like, okay, like today might be like one of those like blah depression days, but like I have a chance to try and like work on myself, to try and do whatever I can to get my mind in the right place to overcome that. And so, I mean, really, you can be there and you can be working your corporate job and stuff, but you have to be working on yourself and your mind too. It's like a lot of us have talked about going through school or grad school and checking those boxes. And it's like you're doing all those things to prep yourself for getting into the workforce. But what are you doing once you're in that workforce? Are you expecting a promotion without bettering yourself? Like, are you expecting a promotion without learning a new skill or a new task or working on your mind or something? It's like you're expecting to level up, but are you leveling up? And this can really aid you in all areas of life, whether you're looking to get promoted at work or you're just looking to better yourself. I mean, it can truly benefit you in all areas of life.
I love that. So true. Just out of curiosity, how many of you are currently in a challenge group? Or like you've been exposed to that? Anyone who hasn't? 2 people, maybe 3 people? Okay. So I want to expand on a little more about like what Elena is talking about for anyone who might not be familiar with it. But what happens in these challenge groups is you get set up with a home workout program that your coach helps you with, and you get access to these amazing meal plans. Shelby helps with them. She's a registered dietitian. They're awesome. And a shopping list, all sorts of recipes. And you're surrounded by these like-minded individuals who are on similar journeys, right? And I can honestly say it's the best $160 that I ever spent. I mean, I get that's the price on it. And I go to Target and I can drop that in about 10 minutes. And I think about how I was maybe skeptical at first, like, oh, $160. But in the grand scheme of things, what it has provided me and the money it has saved me on freaking Caribou Coffee and random lunch trips and buying random things, processed crap at the grocery store, has just been night and day. And, for my husband and I too, he's a lot healthier because of this as well. And so it's one of the best investments I've ever made. And I wish I would have done it so much sooner. The other kind of reservation I had with joining and with coaching especially was time. I was working 100, hopefully not. I was working about 50 hours a week at my corporate role. And so to add something on in addition to that, I was like, Molly, what are you doing? Like, not a good idea. But you guys, it saved me time, right? Because I learned how to meal prep. I started doing morning workouts for 30 minutes at home instead of trying to make the gym class and spend time in the car on the way to the gym. And so it started to put all this time back in my schedule, not to mention just made me higher energy and more productivity. The other thing that I was worried about, and maybe some of you are, is, well, I'm not fit enough. When I started coaching, I was not where I wanted to be health-wise. Steve and I had gotten married. I had kind of, let it go a little bit. Like that happens when you get married. A lot of you probably know. And I just was not feeling hot about myself. But what it did, I was like, whatever, I guess I'll sign up as a coach, don't know what I'm doing. And it made me accountable. It made me stick to it. And so you do not have to be at your own fitness goals. We have people who started coaching when they had 100 pounds to lose. And guess what? They lost them. And they brought people along with them on that journey instead of trying to do it on their own. So if you've had any of those reservations, just know that we've been there. And almost all coaches that we've worked with on our team are easily able to recoup the $160 initial investment and then some. I don't want to go into dollars too much, but I earned about $50 a week starting off as a coach, and I think that's really pretty common. 6 months in, I was earning about $200 to $300 a week. I was working hard, right? I was staying consistent, showing up for myself and others. And 1 year in, I was earning about $700 a week. which was secondary income, right? On top of my full-time job, just for a couple hours in the evening, in my sweatpants. So if you've had any of those reservations, just want you to know, like, we've all been there, and you'll get through them just like we did.
There we go. I had to unmute myself. So I wanted to just touch on something that I feel like is really important in all of this. And it's honestly, in addition to the community, it's one of the things that makes me the most happy. And it's the fact that the four of us, when we plug in and we put our time into other people, it's paying it forward. And what I've learned is that you can have so much in life if you help others get what they want. And once I started paying it forward to help others, I started to feel more fulfilled. And while my full-time gives me that feeling, it's not the same, because I don't connect with people like I do doing this. And I really started to realize that the happiest I felt was when I was giving to others and doing something good for somebody else. And like I said, that's different than what I do at my full-time job, but with coaching, I do it every day. And then kind of full circle moment is I realized through all of it is that people pick up on the feeling that you're giving off, and it's contagious, So I've had so many people come up to me and say, I love how energetic and positive you are. Or when I see your posts on Facebook, like, I always look out for them because there's so much negativity out there. Or I always feel so good after leaving a conversation with you. And it puts me in such a good mood. So, when you plug your time into other people, it makes you happy. It brings other people joy, and in turn, they typically do good for somebody else. So it's kind of like paying it forward full circle. And I just think that's such a cool thing. And coaching really brings that to you. And it's cool to see it unfold.
Yeah, that's really special, Sarah. And I think that fulfillment piece is what a lot of people crave in life. It's like we all want to contribute in a more impactful way. I know I did. The one thing I will say, you guys, is it's not effortless, right? Like, it is going to take some hard work. You do have to be self-motivated, right? Like, no one's going to hand it to you on a silver platter, but I also think that's what makes it worthwhile. If it's easy and it happens overnight and you get rich overnight, it's probably a scam, right? It's probably not a real thing. And that's not what this is. Like, it is going to take time and consistency. Think of it a lot with, like, your workouts, right? You don't get a six-pack overnight, but you show up for consistently 30 minutes a day over the course of the year, you have a six-pack and you feel great. And that's, it's a lot like how this business or this part-time side hustle can work as well. And I think back to when I was starting off and I thought about, this sounds cool, but just not right now. Now is maybe not the right time. I've just got promoted at work. Like, my husband and I just moved into a house. Life is crazy. If you're passing up something good that could honestly alter the course of your life, and I genuinely mean that, what are you waiting for? Right? Like, we're so good at telling ourselves it's not the right time. Why not convince yourself the other way? Like, okay, this might not be a perfect time, but no time's going to be perfect, so let's just freaking do it. And I often think if we would convince ourselves the other way, we would all take a lot more opportunities that our intuition was saying, Molly, just go for it. Just try this. So what we've talked about, you guys, and what we thought would be pretty cool is if you commit tonight, which I know a lot of you are challengers already, you've been around, you know what this is all about. what are you waiting for? Like, you're in the challenge groups, you're doing 80% of what a coach does, you're just not getting paid for it. And so what we've said is anyone who commits tonight, we'll give you the Hustle with Heart tank top. We'll ship it right to you. Everyone needs more workout tanks, I think. You will be added to our private coaching groups. You'll have mentorship, you'll have training. It's not like you're just, okay, go have fun. The person who invited you here will absolutely help you get going. Every month we have what we call a new coach mentorship group that's starting up really soon. So it's actually really great timing. You'll be included in that. You'll get to, you'll get help with other coaches who are starting off too, and you'll get to join that positive, fun community. This weekend, we actually have a coaches retreat where we're all going to be going to this Victorian mansion. It's a leadership retreat, so you had to earn your spot there. But we're just going to, have fun, have some good food, have some good drinks, do a workout, sleep over in this mansion, and, just really uplift each other. So if it's something that interests you, you can comment or you can reach out to your coach or the person who invited you here right after this call, and they can chat about it with you. But you get to choose your pace. It's not like you have to go balls to the wall. You can if you want, but you get to pick your pace, and your coach, your mentor will help match that pace with you. So I think we should open it up for questions if anyone's got any. I'm trying to check out the boxes down there. Shelby, does this sound familiar? Haha, glad you convinced me to take the leap of faith. Yeah, I think we've all been there a little bit, Kayla. For sure. I'm going to grab the tank top. So if Elena or someone could check out the comments in the Facebook group just to see if there's someone who's extra engaged. Looks like Miranda joined. I'm going to add her. I did want to announce the winner of the Starbucks card. We'll do that first. The winner of the Starbucks card is Miss Ashley. I always want to say Ashley Agri. Ashley R. Rosenbaum. I see her. She's sitting in the dark there. I'm still going to call you Ashley Agri forever. So Ashley will get the Starbucks card. She is rocking it out in her first challenge group right now. She and I were on high school dance team together, so we go way back. She has a little girl, Brooke, who's watching her mom crush the workouts. I don't think we missed anyone's questions. Anyone willing to ask a vocal question? I'll put you on the spot. Reservations on like how much time does it take, or what if I'm scared? What if I'm scared?
I'll go.
Yeah.
So I'm one of the few that's actually not a part of anybody's coaching's group, but I'll give Shelby credit. She diligently tries to get me to join it just about once a month. And that doesn't go without me thinking about it. The only reservation I've had seriously is that I have a very addictive personality. When Elena, if I'm saying your name right, I apologize if I'm not. When she was kind of talking about the mental thing, like that speaks a lot to me simply because I am in school for clinical social work. I'm in school to become a therapist. I've had my own bouts with mental stuff, and I have a very motivated personality is the way that my professors put it. And so I go hard, but then I want to take that next step and I end up overloading my plate. And so my whole reservation about not joining these accountability groups is I know myself and I know I'm going to take it in strides, but then I'm going to probably end up biting off more than I can chew. And it freaks me out because it's like I'm in this very crucial moment where it's like if I screw up, I'm afraid I'm going to lose everything. And then my anxiety kicks in and here we go. And it's just like this entire cycle that's happening. And it's like, I hear all these amazing things out of your guys' groups. And I hear all these amazing things from Shelby and Sarah and Kayla Arsenal. I don't know if you're here anymore or not, but she was here at one point. And I hear all these awesome things. And it's like, I want to be a part of that, but I'm so scared that I'm just either going to take it like to the extreme and I'm going to get distracted from my schooling, or it's that I'm not going to give the dedication that I should. Like there's like that one in between that I just can't seem to hit.
Shelbs, I'll let you take this one since you and Callie talk on a monthly basis.
I actually really feel that a lot as you're saying it. I see a lot of myself in that. I was like the college student that stayed up till 4 a.m., worked 3 jobs, so I didn't have to like have any debt going to college. I freaked out. Like I was like overtook more than I could really take on. But to be honest, like the skills I've learned from coaching have helped me take a step back when I am feeling like I'm sucking air, or if I feel like I'm over pushing myself, or I'm not having that balance between life and coaching. Like I did hit a spot with that, and I had to take a step back, and I said, okay, I know when I can recognize this in myself now, and I know when I'm pushing too far, and like it's actually helped me grow and find things that I needed to deal with and deal through. And I talked about this in my challenge group today. I don't know if either of you guys watched the video, but there's some things I'm dealing through on the, like a personal level, but without coaching and without the accountability group and without that personal development, I probably wouldn't be coping very well. And I would be going back to those bad behaviors, or like just digging into work, or not like dealing with all the other things. So honestly, like I feel you, I completely understand that, but I also feel like the skills I've learned through these groups help me so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would add on to that, Callie. Just hearing you speak, it sounded like you felt kind of stressed with life and just like, you know, the going through the motions and all that. And I think a lot of it just goes back to working on yourself, right? Like if you take that time for you, somehow it kind of clears the waters. And rather than add another layer of complexity, it actually clears it up. At least that's what it did for me, because it just helped my mind be more at peace with things. Miranda says she's learned more about herself in the past 2 weeks. Yeah, I know what you mean. Awesome. Well, we're going to announce our final winner of the tank top, and that is going to be Miss Kayla Arsenault, because she has been asking a lot of great questions. She just asked about podcasts. I love the ones Amanda is suggesting. One I really love, just for like women in business and kind of digging deeper with discipline, is called Melanie Mitro, Women Inspiring Women. I will write it in the chat. And Kayla, Shelby, is Kayla working with you?
She's actually a coach, so that's perfect.
Kayla's a coach. Kayla, are you a new coach?
Yeah, she's on mute.
Cool. Well, that's awesome. She's going to get a Hustle with Heart tank sent to her door. And anyone else who wants one, if you commit tonight, it's yours. So we'll hop off. You can touch base with your coach, and we'll go from there. But thank you guys for joining. It was fun to see all your faces. Have a good weekend. Have a good Friday.
Woo!
Thanks for helping on, you guys.
Talk to you guys soon. See you later.